Hello and welcome to Able Games Dev. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do this, fire bullets. Well, I want to thank one of our channel subscribers who sent in a request on how to do this. So I thought I'll make a quick video, and here it is. Also, I apologize, I've not been able to make YouTube videos lately because I've been very busy with my personal projects. However, I keep checking my comments, so please feel free to send me your suggestions, your problems with Unity 2D, and I'll see what best I can do, okay? So let's get on with this tutorial. Let's exit the play mode. Let's begin by selecting the CAD game object, like so, and right-click, and select Create Empty. Now, this is going to create an empty game object. We need to rename it, so there are two ways of doing that. On a Macintosh, you can hit the return, and this will enable you to quickly rename stuff, or you can select it, right click, and select rename. Let's rename this guy to fire position, and let me just zoom in so you can have a better view of what's going on. Okay, here's the game object. Let me drag it to this position, and you see this box. When you click on it, you'll see a drop down with a list of icons. Let's select this yellow guy, and bam, we have a round sphere or a circle. What this is the position from where the cat is going to fire bullets, okay? Kind of like the gun. Now, if you highlight the cat, I'm going to show you, if you remember from my previous tutorials, if you look in the inspector and the transform and the scale, if I change this to negative 0.3, you notice the cat just changed its direction, and I removed the negative sign and the cat changes direction. So if you notice, the yellow circle is also moving along with it. Okay, so during your gameplay, when the cat is moving in the left direction, this fire position will also move in the left position, and when the cat is running in the right direction, this will also face the right direction. Okay, that's the first step. Now, you also need some bullets, right? So let me show you a quick trick here on creating sprites or bullets. Let's double click the items folder in your sprites, right click, select create, and let's create sprites. Okay, we have this option in Unity inbuilt. You can select a circle, and let's rename this guy to left bullet. And in just a moment, I'll show you why I call it left bullet. Okay, this is a little big, so let's have a look in the scale. Let's reduce it to 0.3, 0.3, okay, and this kind of looks okay. Also, we can change the color. Have a look in the sprite renderer component. There is a color field, this. So click this white box, and your colors dialog box pops up. You can drag this handle, and how about orange? Let's have an orange bullet. Okay, there. Let me zoom in and show you. Okay, it looks cool. Let's add in a component called Circle Collider 2D. Why do you need a Circle Collider 2D? All right, the bullet is going to collide with maybe an enemy or a crate or something, right? So if you don't have any collider, you cannot detect that it collided with something. So colliders are important. And we also want to move the bullet using the physics engine, and that is done by using the rigid body 2D. And let me ask you a question. Why did we use a rigid body 2D? Let me show you. There is another rigid body here, rigid body and rigid body 2D. My question is, why did we use a rigid body 2D? Okay, that's perfect, because we're doing a 2D project. So if you're doing a 2D project, you need to use rigid body 2D, circle collider 2D, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now let's have a look at the properties of rigid body 2D. We have is kinematic. So I want you to put a check for is kinematic. What this does is it's not going to allow the bullet to fall down because of gravity. Okay. You want your bullet to move in a straight line, right? You don't want your bullet to kind of have a projectile motion. So that's the reason I checked is kinematic. Alrighty, once we have all of these things done, let me answer the question why I named this the left bullet. This will be the bullet which gets fired when the player is moving in the left direction, okay? And this bullet will have a negative velocity. But where is the velocity? Let me show you. Let's add in a script called bullet controller. Click add component, type in bullet, CTRL, and press enter. Enter one more time. This is going to create a bullet controller script. Now in this script, we're going to specify the velocity. And how we do that is, let's double click the bullet controller and MonoDevelop will open all of this for you. Let's go ahead and as is customary for me, I will arrange the brackets like so that the code looks better. Okay, and it's just a personal preference. Let's specify a public vector2 and call this guy speed. And this is going to be the speed at which the bullet is going to move. Okay, we also need a reference to the rigid body 2D attached to the bullet. And why do we need a reference? Because we're going to move the bullet. And how we do that is, let me show you. In the start method, type in RB equals to get component. And we need a component of type rigid body 2D. Perfect. The variable RB now has a reference to the rigid body connected or attached with the bullet. Now, the variable RB, let's type in RB and the dot, and you get a lot of options, methods. We're going to call the method or property velocity. And this velocity will have the speed which you just declared here, the public vector2 speed. Okay, this is going to set the velocity. And let's copy this guy and paste it in your update. And because of the update, this bullet will constantly keep moving. Okay, this is the first part. This piece of code is going to move your bullet. But do you want your bullet to continuously keep moving? Let me show you what I mean. Let this whole thing get refreshed and everything looks good to go. Now let's specify a speed. Because this is left bullet, let's say -7 should be okay, and it's time to test. Okay, let me see if maximize on play is off. Let's hit the play button. And there. Do you notice the bullet is moving now? Okay, so it's good. It's good. Your bullet is moving. But if we don't have any mechanism, the bullet is going to keep moving endlessly. So we need another script. And let's click on add component. And let's type in destroy with delay and hit enter, and there Unity creates another script for you. Double click destroy with delay and you're going to see something like this. Let me arrange the brackets. Okay, this is just a personal preference. Now here let's specify a public float delay. Okay, it's a variable of type float. Now what this does is, in here in the start method, we're going to call destroy, and we're going to destroy this game object, the one the script is attached to, which is the bullet, after a delay. Okay, that's the only piece of code you need for this particular script. And what this script does is, it's going to destroy the bullet after the specified delay. So let's have a look. This indicates that the script is being compiled, and if all is okay, here we see a public field of type float called delay. So how much delay do you want in seconds? Let's say 1.5 seconds should be okay. Now we're ready to test it. Now we still have the bullet here. Okay, let's hit the play button, and there the bullet goes, and boom, just about 1.5 seconds later the bullet just vanishes. Okay, I hope you're getting the whole concept, because it's really very easy, and I'm trying to go a little slow so you can get the entire process. What we need to do is create a prefab out of this left bullet. So we can drag this guy and drop it into the prefabs folder. In case you don't have a prefabs folder, you can select the assets folder, right click and select create a folder and call it prefabs. Okay. Now in the prefabs you have a left bullet. Now I want you to duplicate this by selecting and hitting Command D. This creates a copy of this game object, and I want you to rename this to right bullet. Okay. And this will be the bullet that's fired when the player is moving in the right direction. Okay. Now here's a question. The right bullet is highlighted, so the properties of this right bullet are visible in the inspector panel. Have a look for bullet control. You have a variable called speed, right? Now, my question is, currently the value is -7. So in which direction is this bullet going to move? Left or right? Okay, perfect. Because there's a negative sign with 7, this is going to move the bullet in the left direction. Okay, so another question is, if I want to move the bullet to the right, what do I do? Perfect. We need to change this to 7. Okay, so this will ensure that the bullet is moving in the right direction. Remember, negative is left, positive is right, and 0 means nothing's moving. Okay, destroy with delay is okay. 1.5 is just perfect. Now we want to test it. Okay, let's do a quick test. Let's drag this right bullet and drop it here. And, well, time to test. Let's go back to game. Make sure maximize on play is off. Let me zoom out a bit. Hit Command P. And there. Whoa. You've got a bullet and it just smashed the crates out of business. Perfect. Let's exit the play mode. So we have our two bullets, the right bullet and the left bullet. Okay. And these are your prefabs. So we can delete these two from here. Okay. Command delete will delete your game objects on the Macintosh. Now, the third and the most important thing is we want to tell the player controller that we have two bullets, and when we press the spacebar, I want you to fire the bullets. Okay, that's the last and the final part of firing bullets. So where is the player controller? I think for this tutorial, I have named it Player Manager because in my current projects, I use the convention Player Controller. Okay, but in this tutorial, I have called it Player Manager. So here it is, Player Manager. Okay, a manager for the player. So it's got to be with the player, right? So highlight the cat, look in the inspector, and you'll find Player Manager script. Now we're going to do some coding in this. Double click this. Oops. Let's double click this field and it's going to open Player Manager in MonoDevelop. What we need to do is we need to tell Player Manager that we have two bullets. How we do that is by specifying public fields for the bullets. Let's type in public, game object, left bullet, and right bullet. Okay. What this will do is it's going to give you two public fields. Here, let this guy get compiled. Alrighty. And like I told you, you have two fields now for left bullet and right bullet. Perfect. So far, so good. Let's go back to the prefabs and select the left bullet and drag it and drop it in the left bullet field, and drag and drop the right bullet in the right bullet field. Okay, so far so good. The Player Manager now knows that there's a left bullet and a right bullet. Okay, now we need to tell the Player Manager that anytime I pressed the spacebar, you need to fire one of these bullets. How can we do that? Well, it's very easy. In the document outline, click Update. Okay, this is the easier way of jumping from one method to the other method. Okay, I personally do not scroll up and down a lot because once you start working on really big scripts and a lot of scripts and a lot of code, this method will tire your eyes. Okay, scrolling up and down, it's going to cause a lot of confusion and stress in the long term. So I recommend using the document outline. So here it is. You can jump from method to method in a very easy manner. So let's go to Update, and here where you have the get key downs, let's specify another if block. Let's call it if input dot get key down and this time we're going to specify keycode dot space. Okay, anytime you press the space bar. So something should happen. And what is going to happen? Well, we're going to call in a method called fire. Okay, now here's the question. Why is the fire red right now? Okay, that's because we haven't created this method. It's just a pseudo method right now. So how do we create a method? Let's scroll down and let's create a method void fire, and that's the way to do it. Now you have a method called fire, and this method is going to be called when you press the space bar. Okay, so we're getting there. Now what are you going to do in this method? We're going to instantiate a game object. And what game object? The bullets. Okay, but how do you do it? Let me first show you a demonstration. Let's say I say instantiate, and we have left bullet. Okay, I'm just taking this as a sample, and we want to instantiate these guys at a certain position, but we don't have any position right now. So let's get a position. How do you get a position? And what position are we looking for? We're looking for the fire position. Okay, but if you look in the player manager, there's no reference to the fire position. How do we get a reference? Okay, I'll show you an easier way of doing it. Declare a transform, a private variable, and call it fire position. Okay, the reason I want to transform is, and when I say transform, let me show you what exactly a transform means. This component, transform, every game object in Unity will have a mandatory transform component. Okay, so if I refer to a variable, if I specify the type of a variable as transform, I can then immediately get to one of these properties: position, rotation, and scale. All right, in this case I'm interested in the position, right? So when I declare transform fire position, I will also go to the start method and type in fire position equals to transform, like so, not the bigger T, lowercase transform dot find child. Now find child is going to help you find a child with a specific name. In this case, the name is fire position. So what we're doing is, have a look. Player manager is a script. My question is, where is this script attached? It's a player manager. So select the player, look in the inspector, and bam, you've got a player manager script attached to the player game object. Okay, now when I say transform.findChild, this particular transform is referring to the transform of the cat. This transform of the cat. Okay, and using this, I can find a child game object or child transform, because I'm interested in the transform position for fire position. So I say transform means this is the transform for the cat. Then I use dot and issue a command or invoke a method, find child, and I pass in the name of the child game object. That's fire position here, fire position. And what this piece of code does is, it's going to get me a reference of this transforms, and I'm going to save it in fire position. Okay, now let me show you. If I write fire position and a dot, I can call in position like so. And if you read here, the position of the transform in world space. Okay, so I can get this particular position using this one statement, and I'm going to use it now. Where? In the fire method. Okay, so like I told you, I'm going to instantiate the bullet. So let's write instantiate, and let's instantiate the left bullet, and this instantiate takes in a vector3 position also. So in this case, we have a position called fire position dot position, and for this quaternion, let's write quaternion.identity. What this does is it's asking you to specify a rotation. Quaternion.identity, it means no rotation. You don't want your bullet to be rotated when it's instantiated. Instantiate means to create, to cause it to appear inside the game. Okay, so well, when you press the space bar, the fire method is going to be called. The fire method has instantiate. We're going to instantiate the left bullet, and if you remember, left bullet has a negative velocity. The bullet is going to move in the left direction. Okay, where will the bullet be instantiated or shown? At this position, fire position dot position. Here, this is where you're going to see the bullet. Okay, at this yellow sphere, and there would be no rotation. So time to test this. Let's have a look what's going on. Let's make sure that all the values in the player manager are perfect. Let's hit Command P. And there. Now let me press the space bar, and oh whoa, the cat decided to do a moonwalk and it just fell down. Well, what just happened was you have this position here, and since you specified a left bullet, the left bullet has a negative velocity, so it started moving in the left direction, and it hit the cat, and it took the cat along with it. So here's what we need to do. The quick and easy way of doing it is we have a variable called facing right. Here, Boolean facing right. This determines the direction in which the cat is moving. So let's quickly write if facing right means if the cat is moving in the right direction. We need to instantiate not the left but the right bullet, and the rest of the code remains the same. Let's copy all of this. And if not facing right means if the cat is moving in the left direction, we want left bullet to be instantiated. That's the only piece of code you need, and time to test it. Let's go to game view, maximize on play, Command P, and we're going to do a testing now. There, you have a cat. Okay, let's hit the space bar, and there. Whoa, you see you are able to fire bullets now in the left direction and the right direction. Okay, cool. So far so good. Now, if you noticed, when the bullet hit one of the crates did not get destroyed. So can we do something about it? Yes, definitely. And for that purpose, let's select the bullet here, left bullet, and we have a bullet controller. So let's go to bullet controller, and here let's add in void on collision enter 2D. Okay, collision 2D, and let's say other. And what we're going to do here is, first let me show you, these crates have a tag called ground. Here, tag ground. Okay, I'm going to check if other dot gameObject dot tag, or a better performance wise, a better way is to use compare tag. Okay, this is better for performance. And let's pass in ground. Means if this bullet collides with a game object which has the tag ground, in this case it's the crate, you want to destroy first the other game object, that is the crate, and you also want to destroy the bullet. That's it. That's it. Okay, this will make sure that when the bullet hits the crate, both of them get destroyed. So let's have a look. Command P, and there, perfect. The cat is able to fire bullets in both directions, and that's about it. Okay, now here's a mini challenge for you. Okay, I wanted to give you a small exercise, in fact 2 exercises, so that you can sort of practice your coding skills. Okay, if you've been following me from the previous tutorials, I want you to do 2 things. If you notice, the color of the bullet is orange. So your first mini challenge is, I want you to change the color of the bullet to green, blue, or whatever color you want. I want you to change it from orange. Okay, that's the first challenge. And the second mini challenge is, I want you to add sound. The moment I press the space bar, the sound of bullets being fired, like a laser or some sound that you like, should be fired, okay? Now, don't worry if you face problems. This is the good thing about working in a team or together. If you face problems, first give it a try yourself. Try to research the internet, try Googling, and come up with your solution. And if you have any problem or you're not able to do it, just send me a comment or a message and I'll try to help you. I'll give you hints, and then finally, if things are not working, I'll show you how to do it, okay? So the best way of learning is trying to explore and asking you questions. How do I do this? How do I do this? How can I change this? Or how can I do that? Okay. So I really want to thank you for sticking around with me for which turned out to be a big tutorial, but I wanted to make sure that you get the concepts correct. So thank you so much for joining me in this tutorial. And so till next time, keep developing, keep learning, and happy game programming.